Hey everybody, this is James from the Casual Tryhard MTG podcast here at Myrtle Beach Games in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And today we are going to do a Ikoria Prerelease kit. We'll open them up, explain the contents, and then go through and we're going to build a sealed pool. This pre-release is a little strange because everybody's kind of already been playing online for like a month now. This set's coming out a little bit late. But the store is here running events all weekend long, so make sure you stop out and check us out. So this set is Ikoria Lair of the Behemoths. It's a little complicated as far as sets we've had recently go. Mechanics-wise, the mechanics have some fairly complex rules to them. But the set's a lot of fun. Like I mentioned earlier, we've had the chance to play this a little bit online already, even though we don't actually have physical cards in our hands until right now. This is the pre-release kit. Every kit comes with a spin-down die with the set symbol replacing the 20. And then we have 6 booster packs here for Ikoria Lair of the Behemoths. It also comes with a code for, I believe this is 3 packs on Arena. I'm not sure yet though. They kind of change them up on us, so we don't always know. The pre-release kit in particular comes with this punch token. Now you can get these in the normal booster packs, but the ones that come in the pre-release kits are like thicker cardstock. So these tokens you'll punch out to, if you give something flying, you can punch this out and put the flying token on it. But like I said, this is a lot thicker cardstock than the ones that come in the packs, so that's kind of nice to have. And then you also get a pre-release promo. Let's see what this one is. We got a Skycat Sovereign. Kind of a flying lord that creates its own army. It's kind of a sweet card. This set's all about monsters, so it's kind of fitting to have that. Let's crack these open and see what we get here. Now typically, I'm going to open these packs and show you all the cards, but when I'm opening these to build either a sealed pool or a pre-release pool, I like to lay them out by color. And then we'll see, what sorts of things pull us into the various colors. We got Capture Sphere, Drana Stinger. Cycling's back in this set. That's always a welcome thing to find. A bunch of commons here. Look at that, one of every color right off the rip. Into our uncommons. Mystic Subdual, Zagoth Mamba, Auspicious Star X. Now that's a reason to be in green for sure. Ooh, and Umori the Collector. I guess this is a pretty good chance to talk about companions here. Companions is another new mechanic that we have. These cards you can play in your actual deck, but you can also play them out of your sideboard. So as all the companions have a requirement written on them, as long as the deck that you're presenting to play your game meets that requirement, this card doesn't actually have to be in your deck. It can be in your sideboard. You reveal at the start of the game, and then you get to cast this card for once out of your sideboard. And typically, they all have like an enters the battlefield ability, and that will have something to do with what the restriction is. So Umori says each non-land card in your starting deck shares a card type. So, like creatures, you would either have to have like all creatures or all artifacts or something like that. And then spells of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. So that's another good reason to be in green. I know I mentioned Auspicious Star X here. This is another one of the mechanics from this set. It's Mutate. So, on cards with Mutate, they'll have an alternative casting cost down here, in addition to the normal casting cost. So if you cast this for its Mutate, on this card it's 5 and a green. You pick a non-creature or a non-human creature you control, and you kind of like combine this with it. So if I had this Mamba here, it's a not human creature. If I cast this for its mutate cost, it kind of becomes one creature. So you get to pick whether you want this on the top or the bottom. Whatever's on the top, you're going to maintain that power, toughness, CMC, color, name, all of that. But it's going to get the abilities of all of the cards in the mutate stack. Sounds kind of confusing, but once you play with it once or twice, it's really not. We're on to pack 2. So far we've got certainly some reasons to be green. Oh, and this pack has exactly what I was just talking about. If you look at, this is the token, the punch token card that comes in a pack. You can see how it's just normal card stock. And the one that actually comes in the pre-release kit is nice and stiff. I don't know if you can see the difference on camera. Yeah, you can see the difference there. So that's cool. And let's see what we got. Gust of Wind, Prickly Marmoset, cares about cycling. Oh, this is another thing that we have. Some sweet, these are the showcase cards for this set. They're like shaded cell comic book style art. They all look awesome. Cavern Whisperer, Fire Prophecy, that's some good removal. We're into our uncommons. Void Beckoner, Glowstone Recluse, Escape Protocol, and we got another, this is a borderless one of these guys. So we got a borderless alt art Everquill Phoenix. That's a sweet card. Looks awesome. It's good too. When you mutate with it, you get to put like a egg on the battlefield. They call it a feather, but it basically lets you return the Phoenix every time. Every time you mutate, you make one of those, and it'll let you return the Phoenix to the battlefield. Actually, I think it's any Phoenix. Rustveil Ambush, another Prickly Marmoset. Actually, I'm gonna set that guy aside because there are certainly reasons to be red. Starfinder, that's awesome fixing for this set. Probably another thing I should touch on is the this set has, it's focused around 3 color like wedges, so the mana fixing is really good. Oh, man, oh holy moly, this is a killer pre-release pack. So we got Kahira, which is another companion. Kahira is a 3/2 cat beast. Its companion requirement is that each creature in your deck is a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast, and it's a lord for those creature types. It has vigilance, and it gives all of those creature types +1/+1 in vigilance. And then we got a foil Kinnan Bonder Prodigy. It's a human. It says whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent could produce. And you can pay 7 mana, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put a non-human creature from among them onto the battlefield, the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This card is making waves in Commander. I've seen a lot of buzz about this guy, so it's super sweet to pull a foil. There's some really good packs in this kit. It's gonna be kind of hard to make a deck out of this. There's too many good things. Valiant Rescuers, a good payoff for the cycling deck. And a mythic, Vadrak, Apex of Thunder. This is the, so I said that this is kind of a wedge set. Each of the wedges has its own like legendary leader or whatever. This is the Jeskai one. It's a 3/3 flying first strike for 3 mana, and it has mutate 1 hybrid blue, white, red, red. Whenever it mutates, I can cast a non-creature card with CMC 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. And we got a foil Lead the Stampede. I was super excited to hear that card was in this set. It's one of my favorite cards.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's foil. Nice bonus for you, Juan. Go for Blood. That's another good card for the cycling deck. Adventurous Impulse. And And we get a tri-land, Savai Triome. The rare land cycle on this is the Triomes. Again, because it's a wedge set, these are going to be wedge colored. This one's Mardu, so it's red, white, or black. It has all 3 basic land types, so it's a mountain, plain, swamp. They all enter the battlefield tapped, and they all cycle for 3. And we got a foil Cavern Whisperer. This Honey Mammoth is a kind of a innocuous card that does a lot of work in Limited also. It's a 6-drop, 4 green for a 6/6, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. Greater Sandworm makes a return. And Inspired Ultimatum. So this is another cycle of cards that we have in this set. There's one of these for each wedge. This was the Jeskai one, so it's blue, red, white. Target player gains 5 life. Inspired Ultimatum deals 5 damage to any target, and then you draw 5 cards. So this is going to be a greedy deck, so I think the first thing that I'm going to do is pull out all of my fixing and look at it, and see what my lands are going to let me do. So I have the Savai Triome, I have a Rugged Highlands, and I have a Blossoming Sands. On top of that, I have 1 Farfinder. This card actually does a lot in this limited environment. It's a 3-drop 1/1, colorless. It has Vigilance, it's a fox, and it lets you, when it enters the battlefield, it lets you tutor for a basic land. So this will help you fix all your colors. It's also non-human for mutate, and it has Vigilance. So this will come down on turn 3, be something for you to mutate onto on turn 4, and then it gives your mutate pile Vigilance so that you can help defend yourself while putting some pressure on. Alright, we'll look at our blue real quick and see what our blue looks like. Looking for anything that's going to draw us into blue. There's a mutate payoff, or enabler, I guess. There's a couple cycling enablers, a little bit of removal, and some more removal. So not a whole lot that wants us to be blue other than cards in our sideboard. Maybe we're not going to go with blue. We have the Phoenix and the Fire Prophecy for red. The Pyroceratops wants us to play non-creature spells, and I don't think that's what we're going to be about here. The Porcuparrot's really good. It's 3 in a red for a 3/3, but it mutates for 2 in a red, so it mutates cheaper than it casts for. And it has tap. This creature deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of times it's mutated, and that can add up pretty quickly. Got another Pyroceratops. Cloud Piercer's a decent mutate creature. Got 2 Prickly Marmosets if we want it to be the cycling deck. I don't know that we're going to be the cycling deck. Normally you want to see like a Zenith Flare. That's one of the uncommons from this set. It's 2 red-white and deals damage equal to the number of cycling cards in your graveyard to any target, and then you gain that much life. That's kind of the best cycling payoff. I don't think we're going to be cycling, but these are cards I'm interested in playing in red. Let's see what the white looks like here. Valiant Rescuer is a good cycling payoff. Blade Banish is good removal. 3 and a white to exile a creature with power 4 or greater instant speed. Vulpikeet's good. That's about it though, so maybe we're not looking just guy. I'll leave them aside, maybe we'll splash them. Vulpikeet and the Blade Banish. Call of the Death Dwellers, pretty good in black. It lets you return up to 2 creature cards with CMC 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then you get to put a death touch counter on one of them and a menace counter on one of them, and that's where these things come into play. You punch them out and you can track what your creatures have with them. The set doesn't have a whole lot of low casting cost stuff in it though, so I think this is more of a constructed plant. We'll keep it in mind when we're building the rest of the deck, but it might not make the cut. These are some mutate guys. We're also, if we're going to build a mutate deck, we're looking for cheap non-human stuff. So this coil bug actually gets a little bit better. It's a 2-drop 2/2, and you can pay 5 mana to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Void Beckoner's really good. It kind of takes over the slot if you were playing during Amonkhet. That it's like the same role that Greater Sandworm had. During Amonkhet, Greater Sandworm was a card that you didn't, even though it cost 7 mana, you didn't really mind putting in your main deck because you could cycle it away early and then potentially like reanimate it later, or save it in your, or if you draw it later in the game you can just cast it or whatever. But this Void Beckoner kind of does the same thing, but it's a little bit better in this set than Greater Sandworm is. When you cycle this, you get to put Death Touch on something. You can cycle at instant speed, so you can kind of mid-combat give something Death Touch. This Zagoth Mamba is another really good card to mutate onto. It's a 1-drop 1/1, and whenever it mutates, you can give a creature your opponent controls -2/2 till end of turn. Those are kind of reasons to be in black. You got the Sandworm. Like I said, this Honey Mammoth is good. This Titanoth Rex is the same thing as Void Beckoner, where it's a card that you can cycle away early, but it's a big threat later in the game if you get it. And this one, when you cycle, you get something trample. So that's another good card to consider also. Adventurous Impulse lets you find your guys or lands. Lead the Stampede's always fun, especially if we're a creature-heavy deck. Humble Naturalist is a mana dork. We have Glowstone Recluse is a really good mutate card. It makes your mutate piles really big. It's a 2/3 with reach for 3 mana, and whenever it mutates, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on that creature, and it has mutate for 3 and a green. You have another Humble Naturalist there. You have a Migratory Greathorn. It's a mutate creature that lets you put a land into play, so it's ramp too. Really good. Also, because you can search for the land, it helps fix your colors a little bit. And then one of the payoffs for the mutate deck is this Auspicious Starix. It's a 5 mana 6/6 with mutate for 5 and a green. And when it mutates, you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile X permanent cards, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated, and then they go on the battlefield. So this is kind of Cascade, based on the number of times it's mutated. Really strong. So it looks like our green is really good, so I think we're definitely going to be green. And then over here in the multicolored stuff, we have Umori. If we can find enough cards that are like just creatures, we can run Umori as a companion. It's worth noting that if you can meet the companion cost on these, it's super strong. So we're gonna try and make one of those companions work as the companion. Kinnan is good. Back for More is really good. It's a reanimate spell that also fights. So if we can early on cycle either the Titanoth Rex or the Void Beckoner, we can reanimate it and then have it fight something. That might be... We'll see what the deck works out to be. We can also consider the Vadrock and the Inspired Ultimatum as splashes. This is really hard to splash because I don't think we're going to be super heavy into blue or white, but we'll see what happens. Sprite Dragon is really good, but not if we're going to use Omori as a companion. Alright, so these guys I think we ruled out. Do we have... No, I don't think we're in the market for any of these artifacts. These are mainly tempo plays in this set. Springjaw Trap is a really expensive removal spell, basically, and Sleeper Dart keeps something locked down. I don't really think we're in the market for any of that either. So we got really strong green. We got some good mutate creatures in black. I think the rest of our black isn't great, though. We are pretty light on removal. So I think it's probably worth splashing the white for the 1 Blade Banish. And the Vulpikeet gives your mutate stack flying, so that's also really strong. So we might splash white for those 2. We have the 1 Fire Prophecy in red, and then we also have some decent mutate cards. I don't think these Pyroceratops are going to make the cut, unfortunately, because I think I want Umori as my companion. Which means that, like, we don't have a whole ton of removal. So Umori will kind of benefit us for not having removal. It'll make all our stuff cheaper. I'm kind of talking myself in circles here, I guess. It makes Blade Banish go away. It makes Fire Prophecy go away. We'll have Umori as a companion. Call of the Death Dealer will go away. Here's my black pile. Our Lead the Stampede and Adventurous Impulse will go away. And that'll leave us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Let's see what we got back here in blue again. Now I think we're going to try and run Umori, so we're only looking for creatures. And we do have a lot of morph stuff going on, so I'm looking for specifically non-human creatures. And there's not a whole lot in blue. Oh, we got the Farfinder too. So that's 19. We can play Kahira for 20. We'll put it in the deck instead of in the sideboard. We're not going to be playing that because it's not a creature. If we have to, we can play this Herd Bond or Heed Bonder, even though it's a human. I really would try and like to get some blue in here, though. The white splash for Vulpikeet is kind of free because we have the Triome and the Blossoming Sands, and we will, because we have the Glowstone Recluse and the Farfinder, we are going to put at least 1 Plains in here. Maybe we can play Vardok. I don't think we're going to make either of these guys work, though. If we're playing Vardok, you can play Poliwag Symbiote. Man, this is going to be quite the pile. So that'll give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's what we're shooting for. Normally in a limited deck, you want about 23 non-land cards and then 17-ish lands. Before I call this final, I want to lay out my curve and see what my curve looks like. These mutate cards I'm going to fill in after the fact because mutate kind of makes your curve wonky. Alright, so we got a whole bunch of really early stuff here that's going to be good with our mutate. Unfortunately, Kinnan and the Naturalists are humans, so you can't mutate onto them. And then we have a mutate for 4. We have a mutate for mutate for 4, mutate for 3, mutate for 6, mutate for 4, mutate for 5, mutate for 4, mutate for 3, 4, 3, 4. So that's actually not a half bad curve. We are a little top heavy over here, but remember all of our big heavy hitters all cycle away if we need them to help either try and dig to fix our mana or to find us some action when we need it. And Umori is going to make them cost less. Umori also works with the mutate cost, so it'll reduce the mutate cost by 1 as well. This kind of looks like a pile because it's 5 colors, but really the blue and white are just a super light splash, so you can kind of get away with cheating with your mana a little bit. And the white is almost free here since we have two white dual lands. I'd probably go with 1 plains. Unfortunately, because our blue cards are kind of low CMC, I'm going to want like 3 or 4 islands. Probably 3 islands. We have the Migratory Greathorn and the Glowstone Recluse to find those islands if we need to, plus the Humbled Naturalist can make mana of any color. Actually, maybe just 2 islands. We'll go 2 islands, a plains, and then our red's a pretty light splash also. We do have 2 sources for it here, and we have 4 red cards. So we'll do maybe 4 mountains. Let's see, that's 7. We'll go 3 mountains, 5 swamps. Is that 8, 9, 10, 11, 6 forests? But then we gotta take these guys out of that. Man, mana bases are tough. Well, something close to that. I'll let you guys figure out the perfect mana base. It helps me to visualize it when I'm sitting down. So normally when I'm building one of these, I'll get a rough count of how many lands I need, run up and grab some lands, and then lay them out with the deck to help me kind of visualize what's going on here. But I think this is pretty sweet. The mana might be a little rough, but it certainly has a lot of power here. And especially in pre-release when it's a little more casual, you can kind of change your deck up in between rounds too. If the splashes aren't quite working out for you, you can either cut a color or whatever you need to do. But I think this is pretty powerful. I certainly wouldn't be unhappy playing it in pre-release this weekend, and there are definitely some sweet pulls in here. So thanks for hanging out with me here, building a pre-release kit. Again, I'm James from the Casual Tryhard MTG podcast. I'm here at Myrtle Beach Games studio in the back corner of Myrtle Beach Games. We're running a pre-release this weekend. Come by and check us out. You can find more videos like this on Myrtle Beach Games' YouTube channel. It's Myrtle Beach Games on YouTube. Also, be sure to check out their Facebook page, Myrtle Beach Games on Facebook. They have a whole bunch of different groups for whatever kind of game you're into. You can check all the different groups out. Stop by the store. They'll put you in, whatever chat you need to be kept up to date with, whatever games you're trying to play. If you liked what I had to say, you can check out our podcast, Casual Tryhard MTG, just about anywhere you find your podcasts at. We're on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google. We do port our podcast to YouTube. You can check us out there also. If you want to shoot us an email, the podcast in particular, you can do that at show@casualtryhardmtg.com. Any questions or comments? We also have a Facebook page, Casual Tryhard MTG. We have a Twitter account that we post to pretty regularly. It's Casual Tripod. It's a little bit different. Don't get it confused. And with that, I hope you guys have fun at pre-release. I know I will.